This young bull was marked to die, sold at auction for slaughter. But nobody expected that a mysterious rural millionaire would appear and change his destiny forever. What seemed like the end became a new beginning. Today you'll discover the real story of this bull and the man who decided to save him. The livestock auction facility in Riverside County, Colorado, hummed with ruthless commercial activity as dawn broke over endless mountain grasslands. Metal holding pens stretched across concrete floors, each compartment containing cattle whose destinies would be determined by economics rather than compassion, market prices instead of individual worth. Overhead speakers crackled with announcements while buyers examined animals like merchandise, calculating profit margins with cold precision. Within Pen 27 stood Oliver, an exceptional 2-year-old Angus bull whose coal-black hide gleamed under fluorescent lights, marking him as superior breeding material. His muscular build reflected generations of selective genetic development, powerful shoulders and hindquarters shaped by premium feed and expert care that should have ensured decades of valuable stud service. However, financial disaster had transformed this promising young specimen into mere processed beef destined for industrial slaughter facilities. The Carmichael Ranch bankruptcy had shocked Colorado's agricultural community entirely. 5 generations of prize-winning cattle breeding had disintegrated when emergency medical expenses from Robert Carmichael's heart surgery consumed their accumulated wealth. His devastated son Marcus clutched the auction ring barrier, watching helplessly as their championship bloodline disappeared beneath the auctioneer's hammer, each sale representing fragments of his family's demolished heritage vanishing forever. Oliver's expressive dark eyes observed the surrounding turmoil with intelligence that surpassed ordinary bovine awareness. His alert posture suggested profound understanding of the circumstances unfolding around him, recognizing the permanent separation awaiting beyond these barn doors, where transport trucks idled like mechanical predators preparing to carry their living cargo toward facilities where existence terminated alongside commercial processing. The auctioneer's amplified voice reverberated throughout the packed facility as Lot 27 approached, his rapid-fire delivery transforming Oliver's existence into a mere commodity exchange that would determine his survival within moments. Meat processing representatives congregated near the front benches, their electronic devices calculating the young bull's weight and protein conversion rates, completely oblivious to the exceptional genetics standing before their profit-focused assessments. "Coming up next, Lot 27, the auctioneer declared, his voice slicing through the warehouse atmosphere like steel. 2-year-old Angus bull, outstanding muscle definition, approximately 1,900 pounds. Opening bid starts at $750. The initial offer materialized instantly from Western Beef Industries, the corporate behemoth that had been systematically purchasing livestock for their massive processing complexes throughout the Rocky Mountain region. Their agent, a gaunt individual wearing an ill-fitting jacket, lifted his numbered paddle with robotic efficiency, perceiving Oliver as nothing beyond premium hamburger awaiting industrial transformation. Then something extraordinary occurred that would alter everything completely. A powerful voice resonated from the facility's rear section, penetrating the commercial pandemonium with serene confidence that commanded absolute respect. $6,000. The entire auction hall became completely silent. Every head rotated toward the source of the astounding offer, seeking the enigmatic bidder who had just proposed nearly 8 times the starting amount for what everyone presumed was processing destined livestock. Positioned near the building's exit stood Juan Carlos Mendoza, a mythical presence in Colorado ranching whose extensive empire encompassed 4 counties. At 58, his distinguished salt-and-pepper beard and weathered features testified to decades of triumphant cattle operations, while his penetrating gaze held something profound, an appreciation for worth that transcended simple market calculations. Mendoza advanced through the separated crowd, his handcrafted leather boots resonating against concrete as whispers of astonishment circulated among the assembled purchasers. His reputation centered on acquiring exclusively the most superior breeding animals, creatures with flawless pedigrees intended for championship exhibitions and elite reproduction programs. His attendance at this bankruptcy sale baffled everyone, particularly his fascination with a bull already designated for slaughter. "Going once, going twice," the auctioneer faltered, visibly amazed by the unexpected development. The processing company representative glanced around frantically, but $6,000 substantially exceeded their operational budget for individual animals. "Sold to Mr. Mendoza!" As the hammer dropped, securing Oliver's miraculous salvation from death, Marcus Carmichael experienced tears flowing down his sun-damaged face. Perhaps his treasured bull would discover honor in life rather than nameless destruction in some remote processing facility. What do you think inspired Juan Carlos to rescue Oliver? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this story and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales. After the auction's completion, Marcus Carmichael approached Mendoza with uncertain movements, his dignity battling against overwhelming curiosity about the wealthy rancher's surprising intervention. The legendary cattleman's reputation throughout Colorado spoke of shrewd business decisions and occasional acts of remarkable philanthropy that had become folklore within agricultural communities. "Mr. Mendoza," Marcus started, his voice trembling with raw emotion. "I cannot comprehend why you would invest such an enormous sum for a bull destined for meat processing. Oliver possesses outstanding genetic lineage, but his reproductive future seemed finished." Mendoza examined the heartbroken farmer with sympathetic eyes that had observed countless agricultural disasters throughout his extensive career in livestock management. "Occasionally, the most worthwhile investments transcend immediate financial gains, Marcus. That exceptional bull captured my interest for motivations extending far beyond conventional profit calculations." The discussion that ensued disclosed Mendoza's intricate reasoning. His own father had suffered complete ruin during economic recession, compelled to liquidate championship cattle for minimal prices to sustain his desperate family. The haunting memory of that generational catastrophe had molded Mendoza's philosophy regarding wealth and obligation, forming a businessman who recognized that genuine prosperity meant elevating others rather than merely accumulating possessions. Nevertheless, Mendoza's ranch supervisor, Diego Morales, voiced significant concerns about the spontaneous acquisition when they transported Oliver into the premium cattle trailer that evening. "Jefe, respectfully speaking, we already maintain 50 elite bulls currently. Why invest 6,000 on one scheduled for elimination? Our breeding operation functions perfectly." Mendoza's response astonished even his own expectations. "Sometimes decisions originate from intuition rather than spreadsheets, Diego. That bull reminds me of my father's prized Brahmin, perceptive, dignified, conscious of his situation. Perhaps he merits an opportunity to demonstrate his value through personal merit." However, uncertainty infiltrated Mendoza's thoughts during the quiet journey toward his vast Golden Valley ranch. His financial consultants would challenge the economic reasoning behind rescuing a slaughter-bound bull when exceptional breeding stock remained available through established networks. His accounting department would struggle explaining the expenditure in corporate reports to stakeholders, expecting every investment to produce quantifiable results. The internal struggle intensified when Mendoza acknowledged he possessed no definitive strategy for Oliver's destiny. His breeding program operated at maximum capacity, his grasslands completely occupied with meticulously chosen genetics. The young Angus would essentially become an extravagant companion, a $6,000 symbol of Mendoza's temporary emotional impulse in an industry that prioritized pragmatism above sentiment. As the ranch materialized ahead, countless acres of prime Colorado terrain populated with cattle representing millions in breeding capital, Mendoza questioned whether his impulsive gesture of mercy had been an error that would ultimately accomplish nothing beyond fleeting personal satisfaction. Resolution to Mendoza's predicament arrived from an unforeseen source the subsequent morning. Dr. Isabella Rodriguez, the area's most distinguished veterinarian and animal psychologist, visited the Golden Valley Ranch for scheduled health evaluations of Mendoza's breeding livestock. At 68, she commanded 5 decades of expertise working with cattle, but more significantly, she possessed an almost supernatural capacity to comprehend animal mentality that had established her legendary status throughout the ranching industry. "Juan Carlos," she remarked after examining Oliver in his provisional enclosure, "this bull demonstrates extraordinary qualities. His physical structure appears flawless, but there exists something deeper, a consciousness and perception that I seldom witness. Where did you discover him?" Mendoza detailed the auction events, his impetuous bidding, and his increasing doubt about the purchase's wisdom. Dr. Rodriguez listened carefully, her experienced hands tenderly examining Oliver's shoulders as the young bull responded to her touch with unexpected tranquility. "You understand," she stated contemplatively. "I have advocated extensively that the livestock industry must acknowledge emotional capacity in breeding protocols. We concentrate intensively on anatomical characteristics, muscle mass, feed efficiency, disease immunity, while ignoring psychological elements that prove equally beneficial." Dr. Rodriguez shared documentation from her studies into animal cognition, describing cattle with remarkable analytical capabilities, outstanding interpersonal abilities, and stress tolerance that conventional measurements couldn't evaluate. These characteristics, she maintained, were becoming progressively crucial as the industry confronted obstacles from environmental changes, pathogen threats, and evolving consumer demands regarding animal treatment standards. Oliver could establish the foundation for something groundbreaking, she continued, observing the bull's attentive stance and responsive behavior. Rather than considering him an expensive miscalculation, regard him as an investment in livestock breeding's future. Imagine if intelligence and emotional resilience became selection standards alongside traditional anatomical features. The veterinarian retrieved a weathered leather notebook containing decades of observations about exceptional animals she had encountered. "I have been recording cases like this for 30 years, anticipating someone with imagination and means to embrace the philosophy seriously." Mendoza's commitment to Dr. Rodriguez's revolutionary research marked the commencement of a transformation that would redefine not only Oliver's fate, but the complete methodology of the Golden Valley Ranch. The prosperous cattleman allocated significant funds toward establishing specialized installations for examining bovine intelligence, incorporating monitoring zones, cognitive assessment apparatus, and comprehensive recording mechanisms that would chronicle every element of Oliver's progression. The young bull received relocation to a specially constructed paddock, enabling continuous surveillance while delivering superior living standards. Unlike conventional breeding enterprises concentrating exclusively on physical output, this environment emphasized mental wellness alongside nutritional necessities. Dr. Rodriguez introduced enhancement programs created to activate Oliver's intellectual abilities, challenge feeders, social communication procedures, and analytical exercises that would expose the extent of his mental capabilities. Throughout days, the outcomes surpassed even Dr. Rodriguez's ambitious projections. Oliver exhibited learning capacities that contradicted established knowledge of bovine cognition. He conquered intricate latch systems, reacted to nuanced voice instructions, and demonstrated exceptional flexibility to modified schedules. Most remarkably, he displayed compassionate conduct toward fellow cattle, frequently consoling troubled animals and resolving disputes within the group with remarkable sophistication. This revolutionizes our entire understanding of cattle awareness, Dr. Rodriguez recorded in her weekly documentation. Oliver transcends mere intelligence by bovine measurements. He manifests cognitive functions comparable to traditionally acknowledged intelligent creatures. His emotional reactions indicate self-recognition levels that could transform our approach to livestock management. Mendoza discovered himself investing considerable time studying Oliver's actions, captivated by the bull's obvious comprehension of human feelings and motivations. The animal appeared to detect Mendoza's tension during challenging business conferences, frequently approaching the barrier when the rancher required comfort following demanding choices. This emotional bond altered Mendoza's relationship with his complete operation, increasing his awareness of animal welfare considerations throughout every aspect of ranch administration. However, entering this unexplored territory introduced unexpected obstacles. Traditional cattlemen regarded Mendoza's investment in behavioral studies with doubt approaching mockery. Industry magazines questioned his commercial wisdom, suggesting that emotional connections to individual animals represented hazardous sentimentality. Months following Oliver's integration into the experimental program, his remarkable development attracted attention from unexpected sources throughout Colorado's agricultural network. Veterinary schools dispatched graduate students to observe the innovative research, while animal behavior specialists traveled considerable distances to document the unprecedented cognitive abilities being demonstrated daily at Golden Valley Ranch. The first significant challenge emerged when the Colorado Cattlemen's Association questioned Mendoza's methods during their annual convention. Association President Frank Weatherby publicly criticized what he termed pseudo-scientific nonsense that threatened the industry's reputation for practical efficiency. Ranching succeeds through proven genetics and sound economics, not emotional attachments to individual animals, Weatherby declared before assembled media representatives. However, unexpected support materialized from progressive ranchers who had quietly observed similar intelligence in their own herds. Sarah Chen, owner of Mountain View Ranch, testified about cattle demonstrating problem-solving skills that exceeded conventional expectations. "We've been ignoring cognitive potential for decades because we couldn't measure it with traditional metrics," she argued during heated association debates. Dr. Rodriguez's documentation began attracting international attention as research universities requested collaboration opportunities. The University of Colorado's Animal Sciences Department offered substantial grants to expand the study, recognizing potential applications beyond livestock management. Psychology professors expressed interest in comparative intelligence research that could illuminate consciousness across species boundaries. Meanwhile, Holliver continued exceeding every benchmark established for bovine cognitive assessment. He learned to operate water systems, navigate complex maze configurations, and demonstrate emotional responses to human distress that rivaled domesticated companion animals. Most significantly, he began displaying leadership qualities within the herd hierarchy that suggested advanced social intelligence previously unrecognized in cattle populations. The breakthrough moment arrived when Holliver prevented a stampede by positioning himself strategically to redirect panicked cattle away from dangerous terrain. Security cameras captured his deliberate actions, providing visual evidence of reasoning abilities that contradicted fundamental assumptions about bovine consciousness. The footage became viral content across agricultural social media platforms, generating thousands of comments from ranchers worldwide sharing similar observations. But success attracted hostile attention from corporate meat processors who viewed Mendoza's research as threatening to industry profit margins. If cattle demonstrated measurable intelligence and emotional capacity, consumer attitudes toward meat consumption could shift dramatically, potentially devastating processing company revenues. Do you think animals deserve recognition for their intelligence? Tell us your opinion in the comments below. Corporate retaliation materialized swiftly and ruthlessly as global meat industries launched a coordinated campaign to discredit Mendoza's research and destroy his reputation within the agricultural community. Their strategy involved questioning the scientific validity of Dr. Rodriguez's findings while simultaneously pressuring Mendoza's business partners to withdraw support from what they characterized as unproven experimentation threatening industry stability. Legal challenges emerged when global meats attorneys filed complaints with state regulatory agencies, alleging that Mendoza's facility violated conventional livestock housing standards by prioritizing psychological comfort over economic efficiency. Inspection teams arrived unannounced, scrutinizing every aspect of Holliver's care while seeking violations that could justify shutting down the experimental program permanently. Financial pressure intensified as several major cattle buyers canceled contracts with Golden Valley Ranch, citing concerns about non-standard breeding practices that might affect meat quality certification. Mendoza's revenue streams began drying up as corporate influence spread throughout distribution networks, threatening the ranch's economic foundation that supported both traditional operations and innovative research initiatives. Media warfare escalated when industry publications published articles questioning Dr. Rodriguez's credentials and suggesting that Holliver's apparent intelligence resulted from elaborate training rather than genuine cognitive ability. Television interviews featured skeptical experts dismissing the research as anthropomorphic fantasy that attributed human characteristics to animals incapable of complex reasoning. The crisis deepened when anonymous threats targeted both Mendoza and Dr. A.D. Rodriguez, warning them to abandon their dangerous interference with established agricultural practices. Security cameras captured suspicious vehicles conducting surveillance around the ranch perimeter, while strange phone calls interrupted their daily routines with ominous messages about consequences for continuing their work. Holliver seemed to sense the mounting tension surrounding his existence, displaying signs of stress that concerned Dr. Rodriguez about potential psychological regression. The bull's remarkable progress could be jeopardized if the hostile environment continued affecting his emotional stability, potentially destroying months of carefully documented advancement in cognitive development. Mendoza faced an agonizing decision between protecting his financial empire by abandoning the research or risking everything to defend principles that challenged fundamental assumptions about animal consciousness. The approaching confrontation would determine whether revolutionary discoveries about cattle intelligence could survive against entrenched corporate interests determined to maintain profitable status quo conditions. As winter approached the Colorado mountains, the battle lines were clearly drawn between progressive science and traditional commerce, with Holliver's extraordinary mind serving as the contested territory where future livestock industry practices would be decided. The devastating blow arrived during Colorado's harshest winter storm when saboteurs infiltrated Golden Valley Ranch under cover of blizzard conditions, targeting the specialized facilities housing Holliver's research program. Security systems failed mysteriously as intruders destroyed months of irreplaceable documentation, damaged expensive monitoring equipment, and released several research animals into the freezing wilderness where survival seemed impossible. Mendoza discovered the destruction at dawn, his heart sinking as he surveyed the wreckage of dreams and scientific progress scattered across snow-covered ground. Computer servers containing behavioral data lay smashed beyond repair, while sophisticated cameras and sensors that had captured Holliver's cognitive breakthroughs were reduced to twisted metal and shattered components. Most catastrophically, Holliver himself had vanished during the chaos, apparently driven into the treacherous mountain terrain by the deliberate disruption of his carefully controlled environment. The bull, who had never experienced harsh weather conditions, now faced temperatures plummeting below zero, with no shelter or adequate food sources available in the unforgiving wilderness landscape. Dr. E.C. Rodriguez arrived to find Mendoza organizing desperate search parties despite dangerous conditions that made rescue attempts extremely hazardous. "We cannot abandon him," Mendoza declared, through tears of rage and helplessness. "Holliver trusted us completely, and we failed to protect him from forces that see only profit where we discovered consciousness." The search continued for 72 hours as helicopters scanned endless snow-covered valleys while ground teams navigated treacherous paths seeking any trace of the missing bull. Local news coverage portrayed the situation as evidence that experimental livestock programs endangered animals rather than protecting them, playing directly into global meat industry's narrative about irresponsible research practices. Hope dwindled as temperatures remained lethal, and no signs of Holliver emerged from the vast wilderness. Dr. Rodriguez's decades of research seemed destined for failure, while Mendoza faced the devastating possibility that his impulsive rescue at the auction had merely delayed the bull's death, rather than preventing it entirely. On the fourth morning, when search teams prepared to abandon their efforts due to impossible conditions, a rancher named Tom Sullivan reported unusual tracks leading toward an abandoned mining shelter 15 miles into the mountains. The discovery sparked renewed determination as rescue teams prepared for one final attempt to locate Holliver before winter storms made further searches completely impossible. The race against time and nature would determine whether revolutionary discoveries about animal intelligence would die in Colorado snow or survive to transform humanity's relationship with the creatures we share this planet with. The miraculous discovery occurred when rescue teams reached the abandoned mining shelter and found Holliver not only alive, but thriving in conditions that should have proven fatal. The ingenious bull had utilized his exceptional problem-solving abilities to create a survival strategy that demonstrated intelligence levels beyond anything previously documented in bovine research. Holliver had systematically arranged fallen timber to block wind currents, positioned himself strategically to conserve body heat, and even located underground springs that provided fresh water throughout the ordeal. Most remarkably, he had survived by consuming bark and vegetation in combinations that suggested sophisticated understanding of nutritional requirements during extreme stress situations. Dr. Rodriguez documented Holliver's survival innovations with amazement that bordered on disbelief. "This transcends mere instinct," she recorded in emergency field notes. Holliver applied analytical reasoning to overcome life-threatening challenges through deliberate planning and resource management. We are witnessing cognitive abilities that rival those of recognized intelligent species. Media coverage of the rescue transformed public perception dramatically as footage of Holliver's ingenious survival shelter spread across social networks worldwide. Comments poured in from viewers expressing newfound respect for cattle intelligence, while animal rights organizations cited the case as evidence supporting enhanced welfare protections for livestock populations. The survival story sparked international scientific interest, as researchers from universities across multiple continents requested collaboration opportunities. Nobel Prize-winning cognitive scientists praised Mendoza's work as groundbreaking research that challenged fundamental assumptions about consciousness distribution throughout the animal kingdom. Corporate opposition crumbled as public opinion shifted decisively towards supporting Holliver's research program. Global meat industries faced consumer boycotts and shareholder pressure as their campaign against cattle intelligence research backfired spectacularly, generating negative publicity that damaged their corporate reputation permanently. Mendoza received validation beyond his wildest expectations when the Colorado legislature passed emergency funding legislation supporting animal cognition research at Golden Valley Ranch. Governor Patricia Stevens personally visited the facility, declaring Holliver a state treasure, whose survival story exemplified Colorado's pioneering spirit in advancing scientific knowledge. Most significantly, Holliver's ordeal had proven that extraordinary intelligence and emotional resilience existed in creatures previously dismissed as simple commodity animals. His triumph over seemingly impossible circumstances became living proof that consciousness transcends species boundaries in ways that demand moral consideration and legal protection. The bull who had once faced slaughter was now celebrated as a symbol of hope for advancing human understanding of animal minds and establishing more ethical relationships between humans and the creatures sharing our planet. Victory brought unforeseen complications as Holliver's international fame attracted opportunistic corporations seeking to exploit his intelligence for commercial gain rather than scientific advancement. Entertainment companies proposed lucrative contracts featuring the Genius Bull in television shows and movies, while theme parks offered millions for exclusive exhibition rights that would transform him into tourist attraction merchandise. Technology conglomerates pressured Mendoza to license Holliver's cognitive assessment methods for developing artificial intelligence systems, arguing that bovine intelligence research could accelerate machine learning innovations. Pharmaceutical companies requested tissue samples and genetic materials for creating enhanced livestock through biotechnology applications that prioritized productivity over animal welfare considerations. The ethical dilemmas intensified when wealthy collectors offered astronomical sums to purchase Holliver for private menageries, viewing him as exotic status symbol rather than sentient being deserving respect and dignity. Legal battles emerged as various entities claimed intellectual property rights over research methodologies developed during his cognitive evaluation studies. Political pressure mounted from agricultural lobbying groups, demanding that Mendoza share his findings with corporate breeding programs designed to increase meat production efficiency. Industry representatives argued that withholding revolutionary genetics constituted selfishness that prevented feeding global populations facing food scarcity challenges. Dr. Rodriguez faced professional attacks from colleagues jealous of her newfound prominence within scientific communities. Academic rivals questioned her research integrity while attempting to replicate her findings using conventional laboratory animals rather than acknowledging the unique circumstances that enabled Holliver's cognitive development breakthrough discoveries. Media attention became overwhelming as journalists camped outside Golden Valley Ranch seeking exclusive interviews and documentary opportunities. Privacy violations escalated when paparazzi attempted photographing Holliver without permission, treating him like celebrity commodity rather than research subject requiring protective protocols. Mendoza realized that fame threatened everything they had worked to achieve by transforming genuine scientific inquiry into commercial spectacle. The peaceful environment essential for Holliver's continued psychological development was being destroyed by constant intrusions from individuals motivated by profit rather than knowledge advancement. The challenge became protecting their revolutionary discoveries while ensuring that authentic research continued benefiting animal welfare rather than human exploitation. Mendoza faced critical decisions about controlling access to their findings while preventing corporate interests from corrupting the pure scientific mission that had motivated their initial rescue efforts. Do you believe scientific discoveries should be protected from commercial exploitation? Share your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like this story and subscribe to our channel for more inspiring tales. The turning point arrived when Mendoza and Dr. Rodriguez made a revolutionary decision that would reshape scientific research forever. Rather than succumbing to commercial pressures, they established the Oliver Foundation for Animal Consciousness Studies, a nonprofit organization dedicated to advancing ethical research while protecting subjects from exploitation. The Foundation's charter explicitly prohibited commercial applications of their discoveries, ensuring that cognitive research served animal welfare rather than corporate profits. International universities contributed funding through academic partnerships that respected ethical boundaries while advancing legitimate scientific knowledge about consciousness across species. Legal protection emerged when Colorado's Supreme Court ruled that Oliver possessed unique status as a living research artifact, whose welfare superseded commercial interests. The landmark decision established precedents protecting intelligent animals from exploitation while recognizing their inherent rights to dignity and appropriate care. Dr. Rodriguez published groundbreaking papers documenting Oliver's cognitive abilities in peer-reviewed journals, establishing scientific credibility that silenced academic critics. Her meticulous documentation proved that bovine intelligence exceeded previous understanding, opening new research fields exploring consciousness in traditionally underestimated species. International recognition arrived when the United Nations cited Oliver's case during discussions about expanding animal welfare protections globally. His survival story became symbolic of humanity's evolving relationship with non-human intelligence, inspiring legislative changes protecting research animals from commercial exploitation. Most significantly, Oliver's transformation from slaughter-bound commodity to celebrated intellectual pioneer demonstrated that individual animals possessed inherent worth transcending economic calculations. His journey inspired countless people to reconsider their relationships with all creatures, recognizing consciousness and dignity where previously only profit potential existed. The Foundation's success attracted legitimate researchers worldwide who shared commitment to ethical animal studies. Oliver became ambassador for a revolutionary approach to livestock research that prioritized welfare alongside scientific advancement, proving that compassion and knowledge could coexist productively. Corporate opponents gradually accepted that public opinion had shifted irreversibly toward supporting animal consciousness research. The ethical framework established by Oliver's case created new industry standards that balanced commercial interests with moral obligations towards sentient creatures. 5 years later, Golden Valley Ranch had become a global pilgrimage destination, where scientists, ethicists, and animal lovers journeyed to witness Oliver's continued intellectual development. The bull who once faced slaughter now served as living proof that consciousness transcends species boundaries, inspiring revolutionary changes in livestock treatment worldwide. Oliver's legacy extended far beyond individual achievement. The research methodologies developed during his study created new academic disciplines exploring animal cognition across species. Universities established graduate programs in applied animal consciousness studies, training researchers to recognize and nurture intelligence in traditionally overlooked creatures. Legislation inspired by his case protected countless animals from unnecessary exploitation while advancing legitimate scientific knowledge. The Oliver Protocols became international standards ensuring that research subjects received ethical treatment regardless of their species classification. Mendoza transformed from wealthy rancher into global advocate for animal rights, speaking at conferences about the moral obligations accompanying scientific discovery. Oliver taught us that saving one life can change how humanity understands consciousness itself, he frequently told audiences worldwide. Dr. Rodriguez's pioneering research earned prestigious awards while establishing new paradigms for studying animal minds. Her techniques spread globally, revealing intelligence in creatures previously dismissed as merely instinctual, from pigs demonstrating empathy to chickens solving complex puzzles. Most remarkably, Oliver continued exceeding cognitive benchmarks, learning languages, creating art through hoof paintings, and forming deep friendships with visiting researchers. His gentle wisdom attracted thousands of visitors seeking connections with non-human intelligence. The auction barn where his death sentence had been pronounced now housed a museum celebrating animal consciousness, featuring Oliver's story as centerpiece. Children learned that every creature possessed inherent worth beyond economic value, inspiring new generations of compassionate scientists and ethical farmers. As sunset painted Colorado mountains golden, Oliver grazed peacefully beside Mendoza, two unlikely friends whose bond had revolutionized humanity's relationship with the animal kingdom, proving that love and science could transform the world together.